I never imagined silence could feel so loud. It presses against my chest now, in this house that once echoed with laughter, slammed doors, and the clatter of dishes after family dinners. I sit alone at my kitchen table, fingers trembling slightly as I fold and unfold the same linen napkin over and over. The afternoon sun filters weakly through the curtains, landing on the framed photographs that line the walls: birthdays, Christmas mornings, Lila in her graduation gown, Adrian holding up his first chef's knife. My whole life has been about them. Every decision, every sacrifice, every sleepless night. And yet, here I am. Alone. Nearly broke. And terrified. The electricity bill on the counter glares at me like an accusation. The mortgage payment due next week. The dwindling balance in my checking account. I used to tell myself that things would turn around, that I could stretch my widow's pension a little further, that I could maybe sell a few antiques and buy myself time. But the truth is ugly. I'm on the brink of losing everything. I stare at my phone. I've never asked my children for help before. Not once. I was the one who helped them. But now I need them. I take a deep breath and dial Lila. It rings twice before she answers. Hi, Mom. Can we make this quick? I'm just about to go live. Of course, I say, my voice steady even as my heart hammers. I need to ask you something important. There's a pause. Okay, what's going on? I swallow. I'm having some financial trouble. It's gotten worse than I've let on. I was wondering if you could loan me a little money, just enough to get me through the next couple of months. Another silence, this one heavier. Oh. Wow. The timing's really bad, Mom. I've got this major brand deal rolling out, and I need all my cash flow tied up in content and campaigns right now. I wouldn't ask if it weren't serious, I say softly. I could lose the house. Maybe you could sell a few things. Didn't Dad have some old watches? Or that painting in the hallway? Honestly, you should have planned better, Mom. I've told you to diversify your income. Anyway, I really have to go. Love you. Click. The line goes dead. I stare at the phone for a long time. My daughter, the one whose first failed fashion business I paid for with the inheritance my mother left me, can't be bothered to talk for more than 3 minutes. I dial Adrian next. Hey, Ma, he answers, cheerful and distracted. Sorry, I'm in the middle of a tasting. Make it quick. I repeat my story, trying not to sound ashamed. Jesus, Mom, he says, letting out a low whistle. How did you let it get that bad? It just happened over time, I murmur. You know, after your father passed. Yeah, but you have to be responsible. Look, I can't help right now. We're launching the fall menu next month, and I've sunk every penny into it. Maybe sell more of Dad's stuff. People love vintage things. Or downsize. Anyway, I gotta run. Love you. And just like that, my son, the one I worked 3 jobs to put through culinary school, is gone too. I lower the phone and stare at the kitchen wall until the wallpaper blurs. It's strange, the moments when your entire life rearranges itself in your mind. It's not dramatic, like in the movies. It's quiet. A slow shift. 1 second, you're the person who held everything together. The next, you're the one holding on to nothing. I walk through the house, my slippers whispering against the hardwood floors. Every room is a museum of sacrifices. The dining table where I hosted every Thanksgiving even after Thomas died. The sewing machine in the corner, the one I used to make clothes for Adrian when I couldn't afford store-bought, only for him to sneer at them later, calling them old-fashioned. The framed certificate from the bank, proof that I co-signed Lila's business loan, the one she defaulted on, leaving me to pay it off. I think about the holidays with Thomas's family, how his sisters used to call me overly sensitive when their cutting remarks brought me to tears. And how, later, my children used the same words when I tried to explain how much their indifference hurt me. Too dramatic, Mom. You take things too personally. Maybe I do. Maybe I always have. But I also know this: I built my life around people who see me only when they need something. And now that I need something, they've turned away. That night, I sit with my book club, 6 women who know the contours of loss, disappointment, and reinvention better than anyone. We meet every Thursday, more therapy session than literary gathering. Tonight, I tell them everything. I think I'm done, I say, staring into my tea. I think I'm done being their safety net. There's a murmur of agreement around the table. Then stop, says Nora, a retired nurse whose own children barely visit. Stop saving them. Save yourself. What does that even look like? I ask. It looks like you, Margaret, says Helena, the widow of a police officer. Not Margaret the mother. Not Margaret the fixer. Just you. The idea takes root that night. A wild, impossible idea, and yet, as the days pass, it begins to feel less like madness and more like salvation. I start selling the antiques. Slowly, quietly. The porcelain clock Thomas loved but I never did. The silver flatware set we used twice. A few collector's books. Piece by piece, I build a small fortune, not enough for a new life forever, but enough for a beginning. Italy. It's always been Italy. Since I was a girl, staring at pictures of Florence and Rome in the pages of National Geographic, dreaming of walking cobbled streets and eating pasta made by hands that have done it for centuries. One evening, I sit at my desk and write the hardest thing I've ever written, an email, scheduled to send the day after my departure. It's not bitter. It's not angry. It's simply the truth. I love you both. But I cannot keep living as your resource while you refuse to see me as a person. I spent my life building a family around love and sacrifice, and somewhere along the way, I forgot myself. I'm going to find her now. Don't look for me. This isn't about you. It's about me finally choosing to live. Mom. The morning of my departure, I stand in the doorway of my house, my prison and my sanctuary, and take one last look. Then I close the door behind me and don't look back. Helena drives me to the airport. Neither of us talks much during the ride. She squeezes my hand before I get out. Go live, Margaret. Really live. I nod. I intend to. The flight is long. And somewhere over the Atlantic, the weight I've carried for decades begins to lift. By the time we land in Florence, I feel like a different woman. My apartment is small, 2 rooms, a tiny balcony overlooking a narrow street, but it's mine. The air smells like espresso and bread. Every morning, I walk to the market and stumble through Italian phrases with kind shopkeepers who smile and correct me gently. In the afternoons, I work part-time at a little trattoria, folding napkins and pouring wine, laughing with people who know nothing about my past. At night, I write. At first, just thoughts about love, motherhood, invisibility. Then memories. Then chapters. Weeks pass. Then months. One evening, as the sun sets in streaks of gold over the Arno River, I sit at a small table with new friends, women and men who know me only as Margaret, not Mom, not the matriarch, not the fixer. We raise our glasses, and I laugh, a deep, unguarded laugh I haven't heard from myself in years. I think of Lila and Adrian sometimes. I know they must have read the email by now. I imagine their anger, then confusion, then fear. Maybe one day they'll understand. Maybe they won't. That's no longer my burden to carry. Because for the first time in 68 years, I am not living for anyone else. I am living for me. And God, it feels good. Do you think her children deserved a second chance? Or was disappearing the only way she could reclaim herself?